Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today is May 1st and I'll be going over my updated predictions for the 2025 governor elections. If you are unfamiliar, there are two governor's races that are up in 2025. These are the states of New Jersey and the state of Virginia, or the Commonwealth of Virginia. These are the only two states that hold governor elections in the off year of 2025, and they're usually the year after the presidential election prior to that. So these are the two races that are up. I'm going to give a quick little breakdown about each of these governor's races and then give my prediction for how I think the race is going to go right now. Starting with the state of New Jersey. New Jersey is an open governor's race where two-term Democratic incumbent Governor Phil Murphy is term limited by New Jersey's constitution and cannot seek a third consecutive term in office. So it's going to be an open race on both the Democratic and Republican sides. The primary elections are scheduled to take place on June 10th, 2025. And what's actually interesting here is there are a lot of candidates running on both the Democrat and Republican sides, and it's really a wide open race right now. On the Democrat side of things, there's the mayor of Newark, Ross Baraka, Steven Fulop, the mayor of Jersey City, U.S. Representative Josh Gottheimer, U.S. Representative Mikie Sherrill. Her real name is Rebecca Michelle Mikie Sherrill. Sean Spiller, president of the New Jersey Education Association, and Steve Sweeney, the former president of the New Jersey Senate. This is a wide open race on the Democratic side. There are a lot of endorsements. Ross Baraka has two U.S. representatives endorsing him. Steven Fulop has some endorsements as well from a lot of state legislatures, county officials. Josh Gottheimer also has a lot of U.S. representatives endorsing him as well, both from New Jersey and from other states like New York, Maine, California, North Carolina, lots of states, Nevada. A lot of endorsements for Josh Gottheimer as well. Just given by some of the names like Jared Moskowitz, Susie Lee, Jared Golden, just by that alone, I would assume Josh Gottheimer would be more of the moderate Democrat in this race. Mikie Sherrill has the endorsement of U.S. Senator Lisa Slotkin and a few U.S. representatives as well. As for this race, it's completely wide open on the polling side of things as well. When you look at the recent polls, Mikie Sherrill currently has a lead over her respective Democratic challengers. This is a wide open race. The most recent poll has Sherrill at 18%. Second place is Baraka and Fulop at 14%. Gottheimer at 9%. Sean Spiller 11%. Steve Sweeney 8%. Still 26% of the vote in the most recent poll undecided. So a wide open race in that poll as well. The Rutgers-Eagleton poll shows something very similar. Sherrill again leading at first place with 17%, over 30% of the vote undecided in that poll as well. So every single poll that's been taken, Mikie Sherrill has continued to have a lead over all of her respective Democratic opponents, but this race is still very, very close with a lot of undecided vote. So it really is going to be depending on New Jersey Democrats getting out to vote and supporting their respective candidate, because I think that's going to, at the end of the day, decide this race, as even though Sherrill's leading in the early polls, it's really close with a lot of undecided vote left out there. As for the fundraising numbers, right now, Ross Baraka's raised $1.1 million. Steven Fulop's raised $3.1 million. Josh Gottheimer's $1.6.5 million. Mikie Sherrill just a hair under $1.4 million. Sean Spiller $182,000. Steve Sweeney $2.4 million. After all the money they've spent, Baraka has about $500,000 cash on hand. Fulop has about $2.3 million. Gottheimer $1.5 million. Mikie Sherrill a little over $600,000. Sean Spiller about $74,000. And then Steve Sweeney about $1.9 million left to spend on as well. So going into the last month, 2 months or so, I expect this to be a very contested Democratic primary that really starts to heat up in the media attention in New Jersey in the next few weeks. As for who's going to win this primary, we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to come down to the wire. On the Republican side of things, a similar situation going on. There are a handful of candidates running. Justin Barbera, a candidate for New Jersey's 3rd District in 2024. Jon Bramnick, a state senator from 2022. Jack Ciattarelli, who was the former Republican nominee for governor in 2021. And what I'll be talking about in a little bit was actually a lot more close than expected. He's running again. Mario Kranjak, former mayor of Englewood Cliffs from 2016 to 2024 is running. And Bill Spadea, a radio talk show host and nominee for New Jersey's 12th District back in 2004. Two candidates have withdrawn from the race. Edward Durr, former state senator, has endorsed Bill Spadea. And Jim Fazzone, former mayor of Burlington City, he's endorsed Jon Bramnick. And that's where things stand on that front. Bramnick has some endorsements of Michael Chertoff and Anthony Scaramucci, as well as former Speaker of the House John Boehner. Jack Ciattarelli has the endorsement of Kellyanne Conway, some state legislatures and county officials, and some political party Republican committees as well. Mario Kranjak has the endorsement of former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, and Bill Spadilla has the endorsement of U.S. Rep. Tom MacArthur and some state legislatures and party officials as well, including Laura Trump, President Trump's daughter-in-law, as well. As for how this race is looking, in the polling that's been done so far, it's actually a lot more decided on this, where Jack Ciattarelli has a pretty large lead over the rest of the Republican primary field. Second place right now appears to be Bill Spadilla, where in the most recent poll, Ciattarelli is 50%, Spadilla has 22%, still 14% of the vote undecided. Right now, and also the Rutgers Eggleton poll had Ciattarelli at 42%, Spadilla in second place at 12%. Barring a late surge for one of the other candidates, Bill Spadilla is probably who I'd expect it to be. I expect Ciattarelli to win this Republican primary, but again, the undecided vote that's still out there does at least give a potential for another candidate to end up winning this primary. But going into the election, I fully expect Jack Ciattarelli to win this Republican primary. As for money spent, the only three candidates with money being spent and reported right now. Jon Bramnick has raised about $1.5 million. He has about $384,000 left for cash on hand. Jack Ciattarelli has raised about $2.9 million, spent about $1.3 million. Now he has about $1.5 million left for cash on hand. And Bill Spadilla has raised about $1.1 million, spent about $534,000. He has about $470,000 left to spend. So again, we're going to have to wait and see how this primary plays out. Right now, I expect Jack Ciattarelli to be the nominee, but we're going to have to wait and see how this goes. As for the predictions on this race, Cook Political Report, Inside Elections, and Sabato's Crystal Ball all have this race listed as lean Democrat. Just to look back at the past election in New Jersey, in 2021, it voted for the Democrat Phil Murphy against Republican Jack Ciattarelli by 3.2%. It is worth noting this was also in 2021, which was a very good night for the Republicans. Typically, these elections go against the president that's currently in power. At that point, it was Joe Biden, the Democrat. So Republicans had a very good night in Virginia and also a better than expected night in New Jersey. Murphy won here by 3.2%. That would be a lean Democratic margin. Going back to 2017, New Jersey voted for Phil Murphy. This was after Trump was elected in 2016 the first time. Phil Murphy won against his Republican opponent by 14 points. That would be a likely Democratic win. And you have to go back to 2013 with Governor Chris Christie, the last time New Jersey voted for a Republican governor, by about 22 points. As for this race, it's really all over the map between how New Jersey could vote. It could be very competitive. It could end up not being competitive. It's really going to be close and tough to see. The margins in the last race was lean Democrat, meaning under 5 points. The race before that was way over that by about 14. So New Jersey is kind of, in my view, on the edge between being a lean Democratic race and a likely Democratic race. Right now, I'm going to start it out as likely Democrat, which means I have the Democratic candidate winning by more than 5%, but winning by under 15%. And I have it probably around 5.5% right now for how I see New Jersey going. And I know the conversation is going to come up was in 2024, Kamala Harris won the state of New Jersey against Donald Trump by 5.9%, much closer than expected. But it should also be worth noting that this is an off-year election. Typically, the election environment will favor the party that's not in charge of the White House. So even though New Jersey was about a 6-point win for Harris over Trump in 2024, I do expect, at very least, that likely Democratic margin to hold for this governor's race in 2025. But again, we're going to have to wait and see how that all goes. So that is where things are for the state of New Jersey for this election coming up. Now we're going to look at the state of Virginia. So I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia page for Virginia now. Virginia is kind of similar to New Jersey, but also kind of not. In the state of Virginia, a governor can only serve for 4 years, and then they have to leave office. Virginia does not allow governors to serve 2 consecutive 4-year terms back-to-back. I believe it's one of the only states in the country that does not allow that. So there has to be a new governor. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin is term limited and cannot run for re-election. However, in this situation, the primaries have already been decided. Winsome Earle-Sears, the lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia, the Republican, she is going to be the Republican nominee. And former U.S. Representative Abigail Spanberger is going to be the Democratic nominee. She did not face a Republican primary challenger. Winsome Sears did, but the two other candidates did not meet the required signature amounts to be on the ballot for a primary, means that Winsome Sears is the only candidate that was in the Republican primary that met the criteria, whereas Abigail Spanberger was the only candidate in the race after LeVar Stoney, the former mayor of Richmond, withdrew from the race and is now running for lieutenant governor. So for Virginia, we really can just look at the general election, where right now Cook Political Report has it listed as a toss-up. Inside Elections has it as Tilt Democrat a flip. This race is going to be very fascinating. So far in every poll that's been taken, the race has either been led by Abigail Spanberger or it's been a tie. And this is the problem Winsome Sears is in right now, is yes, Glenn Youngkin, by all accounts, has been well approved of in the state of Virginia, and if he were running for re-election again, I think it would be a different story and how competitive this race would be. The problem is, Winsome Sears is having to run against Spanberger in an open race where she is not as well known statewide as Glenn Youngkin, and she has to run on the same ballot as President Trump being president of the United States, where we just saw the presidential race go for Kamala Harris by 5.8%. So you may be thinking, okay, well, 5.8%, likely Democrat, kind of like New Jersey. Does this mean the Republican can't win? It doesn't mean that Sears can't win, but it means it's going to be tough. Because in 2021, Virginia voted in a rebuke of Joe Biden in Joe Biden's presidency. Also, Virginia, Glenn Youngkin towed the party line very well between being pro-Trump and also being more mainstream Republican and not really hitching his wagon to Trump. Youngkin was able to play kind of the middle line of that, which I expect Winsome Sears to try and do so again. But 2021 had an election environment of being anti-Joe Biden. In that situation, I guess you could say anti-Democrat and more pro-Republican. Republicans were more energized to win the state, and Glenn Youngkin won by 1.9%. Whereas 2017, when Donald Trump was elected president, and there was a Democratic environment, Democratic push, and an anti-Trump sentiment out there, the Democrat Ralph Northam was able to beat the Republican Ed Gillespie by 8.9%. And by all accounts, this was going to be a very close campaign and a very close race, and things actually got very tight in the last few weeks when Gillespie decided to really align himself with President Trump as much as possible in hopes of getting Republicans out to vote for him and save his chances in the race. And for a little bit, the polls got really tight about a few weeks before, and then in the final few weeks, it really started to open up for the Democrats as Virginians voted out or got out to vote essentially against President Trump, and Northam ended up winning by 8.9%. It's a very interesting story because Gillespie actually, I believe, worked for Mitt Romney's campaign, and then he ran a very close race for Senate in 2014, and then for the governor's race in 2017, he tried hitching himself to Trump to try and get as many Republican voters out to vote for him. But it ended up backfiring. Northam won by 8.9%. So now Winsome Sears is in a tough spot for 2025. Does she try and be pro-Trump, or does she try and play the middle of the road? History would suggest middle of the road would be her better approach, but even then, it still may not be enough. Also, if you go back to 2013, Virginia did go for Terry McAuliffe by 2.5%, but there was a large third-party vote split there as well, so I'm not really sure how much you can take away from that one. So I think the 2017 environment is where Virginia is more likely to be than the 2021 environment. Democrats are going to feel very enabled and very emboldened to get out and vote against President Trump. Not so much voting against Glenn Youngkin, more so voting against Trump and everything that his administration is doing, which is going to energize a lot of Democrats in my view. And I have Virginia also starting out as likely Democrat right now, which again means more than 5% margin of victory for the Democrat, but less than 15%. I'm not sure if where Northam versus Gillespie was 8.9%. I'm not sure if it's going to be that high, but I don't think it's going to be all that lower than that. I'm going to have around 7 to 7.5% right now for Spanberger defeating Sears, where I think it's going to be something along the lines of like 52% to 45%, and then, or maybe 45.5%, and then you'll have like a third-party vote or write-in candidate getting around 1%. I do expect both the Democrats to win in Virginia and New Jersey for the November elections, though. But I'm interested to hear what you have to think. Leave a comment below telling me your thoughts about these races. Who do you think are going to win in these respective governor's races? Leave it all below. I can't wait to see what you have to say. Also, make sure to hit like and subscribe as I post at least 2 new videos every single day that you're not going to want to miss. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.